The dawn broke over Greenwood Valley Ranch, casting a golden glow across the endless green pastures. Dewdrops clung to the grass, sparkling under the first rays of sunlight, while the distant lowing of cattle blended harmoniously with the songs of birds and the gentle rustling of the wind. It was a serene scene, but hidden beneath its tranquility lay challenges waiting to unfold. Caleb Morgan, 27, stood by an old wooden fence, his sharp eyes fixed on the herd grazing in the morning light. With a rugged build and a steady gaze, he carried the air of a man shaped by hardship. Since losing his parents in a tragic accident years ago, Caleb had dedicated his life to Greenwood Valley, working tirelessly to support his aging grandfather, George Morgan, who had taught him that patience and hard work were the only ways to face life's adversities. But Caleb's quiet life was about to be disrupted. A sleek car made its way up the dusty road leading to the ranch. Stepping out was Mia Collins, the city-bred daughter of Victoria Collins, the ranch's owner. Her polished appearance, complete with high heels and a bored expression, stood in stark contrast to the rustic surroundings. She was sent to Greenwood Valley with the promise that 3 months on the ranch would teach her the value of labor and responsibility. From a distance, Caleb observed Mia with a mix of skepticism and wariness. Will she survive this life, he wondered, as the breeze carried the whispers of a new day? Mia's first day at Greenwood Valley was nothing like what she had imagined. Her expensive high heels were quickly coated in red dust, and the relentless sun bore down on the vast fields, leaving her with nowhere to hide. "Mia, you'll be working under Caleb's supervision," Victoria said firmly. "Remember, this isn't a vacation. It's an opportunity to learn responsibility." Caleb stood nearby, arms crossed, his expression unreadable. "I hope you're ready," he said curtly before turning away, leading her to the stables. When they arrived, Mia's eyes widened in disbelief. The smell of hay and animals hit her like a wall, and the floor of the stable was a messy mix of straw and dirt. Caleb handed her a shovel. "Your first task, clean out this stable," he said in a calm but firm tone. "You've got to be kidding me," Mia exclaimed, recoiling as if the shovel were something vile. "No one's kidding here, Miss Collins," Caleb replied, his gaze sharp. "At Greenwood Valley, everyone works. The only way to learn is to start doing." Reluctantly, Mia took the shovel, her movements awkward and hesitant. Caleb watched from a distance, saying nothing but wondering silently how long the city girl would last in this world. By noon, sweat was pouring down Mia's face, and her hands were trembling as she sat in a corner of the stable, exhausted. She pulled out her phone and called her mother. "I can't do this, Mom. They're making me do horrible things." "This was your choice, Mia," Victoria interrupted. "Prove to me that you can handle it." As the sun set, Caleb caught sight of Mia sitting quietly on the porch, her gaze lost in the horizon. In that fleeting moment, he couldn't help but wonder, can she really change? The following days at Greenwood Valley were no easier for Mia, but she began to observe and feel more connected to the world around her. One morning, as she passed by the stables, she saw Caleb tending to an injured horse. He placed his hand gently on the horse's neck, his deep voice murmuring something soft, as though to soothe the animal. Mia paused and watched quietly. For the first time, she realized that behind Caleb's tough exterior lay a heart full of compassion and patience. That evening, during dinner with George, he shared Caleb's story with her. "His parents died when he was just 10, George said, his gaze distant and heavy with memories. "Since then, he's had to grow up faster than most kids. Caleb poured his soul into this ranch. That's why he keeps people at arm's length. He's afraid of losing those who matter to him." George's story left Mia feeling a newfound empathy for Caleb. A few days later, Caleb offered to teach Mia how to ride a horse. "We need to move between pastures," he said seriously, yet with a hint of encouragement. "If you want to help, you'll need to know how to ride." At first, Mia struggled with the reins, feeling clumsy and unsure of herself, but Caleb patiently guided her through each step: how to sit upright, maintain balance, and steer the horse. "You have to trust it," Caleb said, adjusting her posture. "If you're scared, it'll sense it." Under Caleb's guidance, Mia slowly gained confidence. For the first time, she felt the thrill and freedom of galloping across the vast fields. Meanwhile, Sophia, the ranch manager, grew increasingly irritated with Mia's progress. She began assigning Mia harder and more grueling tasks on purpose. "You don't belong here," Sophia said coldly as she passed Mia one morning. Instead of retaliating, Mia pressed her lips together and returned to her work. Facing these challenges, she began to learn the value of patience and resilience. As the harvest festival approached, Greenwood Valley Ranch buzzed with activity. Colorful flags were strung across the yard, long tables were covered with embroidered cloths, and Margaret, the ranch's cook, was busy in the kitchen, preparing traditional dishes. Mia stepped into the kitchen, her eyes curiously taking in the flurry of activity. Margaret handed her a long dress adorned with traditional floral patterns. "You can't attend the festival wearing those city clothes," Margaret said with a kind smile. "Try this dress. It'll help you feel like part of this place." Mia hesitated before taking the dress, but when she put it on, she felt different. In the mirror, she no longer saw the cold, distant city girl, but someone who belonged to Greenwood Valley. That evening, the festival began with the lively sounds of traditional music. A guitar strumming alongside rhythmic drums. Locals and ranch workers gathered under the twinkling string lights that illuminated the yard. Caleb, dressed in a crisp white shirt, leaned against a wooden post, his gaze softening in surprise as Mia stepped out of the main house. Wearing the dress Margaret had given her, with her hair loose and a wildflower tucked behind her ear, Mia looked completely transformed. Caleb walked toward her, his expression gentler than usual. "You look like you belong here," he said, extending his hand. "Care to dance?" Mia hesitated, a shy smile playing on her lips. "I don't know how to dance to this kind of music." "I'll teach you," Caleb replied, his hand still patiently outstretched. Under the glowing lights, Caleb guided Mia through the steps. At first, she was awkward and unsure, but gradually she relaxed, letting herself flow with the rhythm. The crowd around them clapped and cheered, but for Mia and Caleb, the world seemed to fade away, leaving only the two of them. From a distance, Sophia watched the scene, her eyes narrowing with jealousy. Clenching her fists, she turned and walked away, leaving the laughter and music behind. As the song ended, Caleb and Mia stood still, their eyes locked in a silent moment that spoke louder than words. "Thank you for dancing with me," Mia said softly, her voice laced with meaning. "Thank you for trusting me," Caleb replied, his gaze sincere. That night, for the first time, Mia felt she was more than just a guest at Greenwood Valley. She was beginning to belong. The days following the festival saw Mia growing more attached to Greenwood Valley. She joined Caleb in the daily tasks and began to understand the essence of life on the ranch. But the peace was short-lived. One morning, Sophia approached Mia in the stables as she was cleaning. Folding her arms, Sophia's voice was sharp and cold. "Do you even know what you're doing here? Do you know why this ranch is struggling? It's all because of Caleb." Mia looked up, startled. "What do you mean?" Sophia smirked, her tone dripping with disdain. "The barn fire 5 years ago. Caleb was responsible for it. His negligence with the equipment caused the fire, and the losses pushed this ranch into debt." Mia fell silent, Sophia's words planting a seed of doubt in her mind. She decided to confront Caleb. "Caleb, I heard about the barn fire," Mia said, her tone serious. "Is it true you caused it?" Caleb froze, his expression darkening with a mix of pain and frustration. "Who told you that?" "It doesn't matter. I want to hear the truth from you," Mia pressed. Caleb took a deep breath and began, his voice heavy with emotion. "The year the old barn was in poor condition. One night, the wiring shorted and sparked a fire. I discovered it too late. My grandfather tried to save the livestock, and I had to pull him out before the roof collapsed. We lost many valuable animals, and I've carried that guilt ever since." He paused, his gaze distant. "But if anyone thinks I didn't do everything I could, they're wrong. I risked everything to save what I could." Mia could feel the weight of his words, the pain in his voice. "I'm sorry, Caleb. I didn't know you went through that." The tension between them dissolved, replaced by understanding. Later that afternoon, Victoria called both Caleb and Mia into her office. "The ranch is on the brink of bankruptcy," she announced, her tone grave. "We're carrying a large debt from the fire and the costs of upkeep. A major company has offered to buy Greenwood Valley. We can't sell the ranch," Caleb said immediately, his voice firm. "We won't have any other choice if we can't find a solution," Victoria replied, her face lined with worry. Mia felt a quiet pain rise within her. For the first time, she realized the significance of Greenwood Valley, not just as a ranch, but as a home, a legacy. After learning about the ranch's dire financial situation, Mia spent the entire night thinking of a way to save Greenwood Valley. The next morning, she walked into the dining room where Caleb and George were discussing plans. "I have an idea," Mia said, her eyes filled with determination. "We can turn Greenwood Valley into an ecotourism destination." Caleb frowned. "Ecotourism?" Mia nodded, launching into her explanation. "City people are always looking for authentic experiences in nature. We can offer activities like horseback riding, ranch tours, cooking classes, and even overnight stays." George sat in thoughtful silence before slowly nodding. "They could work, but it'll take a lot of effort." Caleb, still skeptical, couldn't deny that this might be their only shot. "All right, let's give it a try." Mia quickly got to work. Using her marketing skills, she promoted Greenwood Valley on social media, sharing photos of the lush green fields, healthy horses, and the simple yet beautiful life on the ranch. Caleb and George focused on renovating the facilities. The stables were repaired to welcome visitors, and small wooden cabins were built for overnight stays. Margaret joined in by organizing traditional baking and cooking classes in her cozy kitchen. "We're not just sharing work, we're sharing our love for this place," she said while kneading dough. Meanwhile, the local community began to pitch in. They supplied fresh ingredients, helped with repairs, and even guided visitors through daily activities on the ranch. Gradually, visitors started arriving. They were captivated by George's storytelling, delighted by Margaret's homemade meals, and found peace in the tranquil atmosphere of Greenwood Valley. One afternoon, as the ranch buzzed with families and children, Mia turned to Caleb. "See, we're doing it." Caleb smiled softly, his eyes filled with admiration. "Not us, you. You brought hope back to this place." Sophia, realizing she no longer had a role at the ranch, decided to leave. "Maybe this is for the best," she said briefly before driving away, leaving the ranch with a newfound sense of renewal. Greenwood Valley was reborn, not just as a ranch, but as a symbol of unity, creativity, and a deep love for the land. As the community came together to celebrate this newfound hope, Caleb and Mia found themselves closer than ever, their shared journey through challenges only strengthening their bond. It was during one of these quiet moments, surrounded by the laughter and warmth of the people they had come to call family, that Caleb decided the time had come to take the next step. Months later, Greenwood Valley was completely transformed. Once teetering on the edge of bankruptcy, the ranch was now thriving, brimming with life and laughter as visitors arrived to experience its charms. One late afternoon, Mia and Caleb stood together in the middle of a field, gazing out at the horizon painted in vibrant shades of orange and gold by the setting sun. The sounds of laughter echoed from the ranch yard where children played, and the smell of freshly baked goods wafted from Margaret's kitchen. "You did it," Caleb said, his gaze soft as he looked at Mia. "We did it," Mia replied, turning to him with a radiant smile. "Greenwood Valley isn't just a ranch anymore. It's become a true home, not just for us, but for so many others." George sat on the porch, quietly taking in the scene. He smiled as he watched Caleb and Mia standing side by side. "His parents would be so proud," he murmured to Margaret, who had just stepped out with a tray of warm cookies. Margaret nodded, her eyes sparkling with joy. "I'm proud too. We've all come through so much together." That night, under a star-filled sky, everyone gathered around a large bonfire. George shared stories of the ranch's past, while Liam played guitar and sang traditional songs. Caleb, his hand firmly holding Mia's, felt a peace he had never known before. "Greenwood Valley is where you belong," Mia said, leaning against Caleb's shoulder. "And you're the one who brought new hope to this place," Caleb replied, pressing a gentle kiss to her forehead. Beneath the warm glow of the fire and the twinkle of the lanterns, Greenwood Valley had found its rebirth, not just as a ranch saved, but as a community built on love, patience, and hope. One evening at sunset, the sky over Greenwood Valley was painted in hues of orange and gold, with the soft light casting a gentle glow over the endless green fields. Caleb and Mia strolled across the meadow, the breeze carrying the scent of fresh grass. Everything feels so peaceful, Mia said, her eyes dreamy as she gazed at the horizon. Peaceful, yes, Caleb replied, his voice tender. But it's even more so with you here. They stopped under a large oak tree, its shadow stretching across the grass. Caleb turned to Mia, his heart brimming with emotions he could no longer hold back, as he dropped to one knee, pulling out a simple yet elegant ring adorned with a small stone that sparkled like Greenwood Valley's evening light. Mia's breath caught in her throat, her mind raced, recalling the moments they had shared, the challenges, the laughter, the quiet understanding that had grown between them. Mia, Caleb began, his voice trembling with emotion, since you walked into my life, you've brought hope and color to a world I once thought was just work. I can't imagine a life without you. Will you marry me? Mia covered her mouth, tears of joy streaming down her cheeks. Yes, Caleb, I will. Caleb stood, slipping the ring onto her finger before pulling her into a tight embrace. The wind swept across the field, as if Greenwood Valley itself was offering its blessings. Caleb and Mia's wedding took place on the same meadow where Caleb had proposed, a simple yet heartfelt celebration of love and unity. White ribbons and wildflowers adorned the wooden fences, creating a scene both rustic and elegant. Mia wore a simple white dress with hand-stitched floral patterns, her hair cascading down her back adorned with wildflowers. She felt her heart pounding as she walked down the aisle, each step a promise of a future filled with love and hope. Caleb, in a crisp white shirt and jeans, stood waiting with a calm but radiant smile, though his fingers nervously tapped against his thigh as he tried to steady his breathing. When their eyes met, everything else seemed to fade away. Friends, family, and the Greenwood Valley community gathered under the open sky. Wooden chairs were arranged in neat rows, facing an arch of wildflowers where Caleb and Mia would exchange their vows. As Mia walked down the aisle with Victoria by her side, Caleb's eyes lit up. Everything else seemed to fade away, leaving just the bride and groom, bathed in the soft glow of the evening sun. Today, we witness more than just a wedding, George said warmly as he officiated. We witness the union of two souls who have brought Greenwood Valley back to life, a new beginning. Caleb and Mia exchanged vows, pledging their love, loyalty, and shared commitment to the future of the ranch and their community. When the pronouncement, "I now pronounce you husband and wife," was made, applause erupted, mingling with cheers from the guests. Caleb leaned in to kiss Mia under the golden sunset, as wildflower petals danced in the breeze. The celebration continued with traditional dishes prepared by Margaret and Liam's melodic guitar strumming in the background. Under the starry night sky, Mia and Caleb danced on the grass, not just as newlyweds, but as two people who had built a future together for Greenwood Valley, a place where love and hope would endure forever.